for many different reasons than James needed the boys' club, I needed the boys' club. And it was the most amazing place I'd ever been. And I went running home that night, and I told my mom, you got to sign me up. And, of course, she's a good mom. She said, well, okay, we'll do it. We'll go to the orientation. Well, I will never forget going to the orientation and reading the information and getting real nervous. Because when I was reading this information, I realized that to become a member of the boys' club, where you could come every day, you had to pay $5. Not $5 a week, not $5 a month, $5 a year. And I knew, sitting in the passenger seat of my mom's car, that she didn't have the $5. And I knew she would never tell me that, but I knew she didn't have it. And so I just knew in my heart of hearts that we were going to get to the boys' club, we were going to have this wonderful orientation, we were going to get ready to sign up, and they were going to say, sorry, come back when you have $5. Well, I don't have to tell anybody in this room what happened next. What happened next is the guy who was running the boys' club at that time, Chet Emerson, who I had no idea was going to be in this room, which also makes this a little tougher. The $5 wasn't an issue. They welcomed me with open arms, and I worked for that $5. Now, I'm also glad that Chet's here, and I'm glad there are attorneys in the room, because I think I have a child labor suit against Chet, because now that I'm old enough to do math, I calculated the number of hours that I did for that $5 card, and I think I have a pretty strong case. But seriously, it meant the world to me. That card meant the world to me because I had earned it. And I'll tell you, the first time I went to the boys' club, here's what impressed me the most. I won't ever forget, we went in and we were running around, we were having a great time, and it came time to go home, and as I was running out the door, Lucky Harris, who also worked at the boys' club at that time, put his hand on my shoulder and said, Kirk, thanks for coming. We hope you'll come back again. For a kid who was looking for attention because his dad was gone and his mom was off working, that was all I needed to hear. And man, I was back every day. I was dragging James back after that, trying to get him to go with me. But what happened in that place, that incredible place, is what happens to so many kids that join clubs across the country. And what happens is, it's not about the building. It's not about the program. It's not about the activities. Truthfully, I could probably only name 2 or 3 of the programs that I was involved in at the Boys and Girls Club. I can name the first and last name of everybody that worked in that club, because that's what it was about. And that's what they were good at. People like Chet putting their arm around you and believing in you and getting you involved in activities where you thought you were just having fun, and the whole time he knew, hey, I see something in this kid, and I'm going to bring it out. And they did that for every single kid, and they did it for me. And one night we were sitting in the gym, just like this one, and we were having an awards banquet. And they gave out an award for the Youth of the Month for March of 1984. And it was me. And it was the most shocking thing I'd ever heard, because it was the first time in my life anybody had ever put me up on a stage and said, this is Kirk, and he's going to be all right. And they gave me a 4x6 walnut plaque. Chet, you may remember. That 4x6 walnut plaque is on my bedroom wall. I cannot tell you how much my wife Barbara loves that 4x6 walnut plaque. I know every woman in here wants a 4x6 walnut plaque hanging next to their bed. It's not coming down, because that 4x6 walnut plaque changed my life, because for the first time I believed in myself. And I went on to become the Youth of the Year for the Boys Club of Pitt County, and I went on to become the North Carolina Youth of the Year, and I went on to become the Southeast Region Youth of the Year. And then at 17 years old, I found myself in the Oval Office, shaking hands with President Reagan, being named the first runner-up National Youth of the Year for Boys Clubs of America. And I tell you that for one reason. Honest to God's truth, the first thing that went through my mind was laying at the bottom of those steps, because it was something I had carried with me the whole time. And I knew 2 things. I knew I had made it, and no matter what else happens in my life, you can't take that away from me. And I also knew that I will spend the rest of my life and all of my time, treasures, and talent that God gives me trying fruitlessly to pay back a debt to an organization that changed my life. That's what the Boys and Girls Club is all about. Now, my life has come full circle. I've just moved my family back to Greenville and taken on a new career, honestly, so I can spend more time with my family. I live in the same neighborhood I grew up in. I live 2 blocks from those steps. I'm my father in a lot of ways. Draw comparisons to him all the time. The first time we came back to Greenville, we went to church at Jarvis, and a nice lady in front of us turned around and she said, "You must be Bob Dominick's son because you look just like him." Well, he was a decent-looking man, so I don't have a problem with that. I went to the Kiwanis Club, and they said, "Hey, you got to join Kiwanis. Your dad was a charter member." My sister, my mother, everybody says, "You look like him, you act like him, you talk like him, you have his mannerisms," all of these comparisons. Let me tell you where they stop. That high point that I experienced in the Oval Office has been surpassed 3 times in my life. Once in March of '96 when I married my wife, Barbara. And Linda, if you would tell her I said that, I would appreciate it. Once on my 30th birthday when my son Thomas was born, and once in August of 2000 when my daughter Caroline was born. And here's where the comparisons to my father stop. Because of the morals and the values that I learned in my boys' club, I will never, write it down, take it to the bank, I will never leave my kids laying at the bottom of the steps. It's just not going to happen. That's what this organization is about. I can stack this stage with documents that'll tell you that when kids leave here, they're going to be better educated, they're going to be better prepared for the workforce, they're going to be better citizens, they're going to be all those things that we can show you in black and white. What I can't put on this stage in a document, but what you can see in me, what you can see even more so in Frankie Atkinson, who I always say ought to be giving this speech, not me, what you can see in all the kids that have gone through this club is they're just better people. They're better parents. They're better spouses. That's how you change a community, one kid at a time. Now, what kids are going through today makes what I went through pale in comparison. In fact, if I went around the clubs in this country or even in this club and I told that story to these kids, 99% of them would say, "Sign me up for that. I'll take that life. Sounds pretty good." The dangers, the disappointments that they're facing far outweigh anything that any of us ever had to go through. So just like Denzel said on the video, now more than ever, we need the Boys and Girls Clubs. And we need your help. We need your help to invest. We need you to invest in the future of this community. We need you to invest in the future of these kids, not because I'm asking you, not because somebody invited you here tonight so I could ask you, not because of any of those things, not for any other reason than there is nothing more important for us to do for Pitt County than to invest in the future of these kids' lives. Steve said it best. We are in danger of losing a significant part of an entire generation. We used to be able to sit in Pitt County and say, that doesn't happen here. Those days are gone. It happens here every day, and I have met incredible kids in my Boys and Girls Club career who have been up against the most horrific odds. They've been abandoned, they've been abused, they've been mistreated, they've been neglected, you name it. They come to the Boys and Girls Club, somebody turns on the light bulb, and the next thing you know, they're valedictorians, they're surgeons, they're teachers, they're preachers, you name it. That's what we need your help with. So I'm going to ask you to help us tonight. And I'm going to ask at this time for the table captains to take out their magic little packages. And I'm going to give them a second to distribute something. And we're going to ask you to make a commitment tonight to invest in the Boys and Girls Clubs. Now, if you look at the pledge card, and this is where I always get in trouble because I'm supposed to slowly take you through every level, and I'm not very good at that. But I'm going to tell you that there are a multitude of levels that you can invest in a Boys and Girls Club. And just a couple of examples. A $500 investment would help us put supplies out for these kids. 700 kids a day, I know how much stuff my two go through. Can you imagine how much stuff 700 kids a day go through? A $1,000 investment provides computer lab time. There's a partnership between the Boys and Girls Clubs and the Pitt County schools, and there are software programs that allow our kids to have an advantage of coming in and working on their homework here. Here's my favorite one. $1,800 investment will provide the Boys and Girls Club services to a kid for a year. You heard about the modest membership dues. It costs a lot more than that to provide for these kids. $1,800 Boys and Girls Club, a kid in a Boys and Girls Club for a year. I think the last numbers I saw are about $90,000 to $95,000 a year to keep somebody in prison. Invest in them now, and you will have to invest in a lot less of that later, I promise you. $5,000 investment, you heard about Power Hour on the video where kids are getting help with their homework and going to school better prepared. 75 kids can participate in Power Hour for a $5,000 investment. Here's the important thing. The levels are not that important to me. The important thing is that we need your help. We need you to make an investment at whatever level you're comfortable with. If you've not gotten to the point where you're comfortable making an investment and you want to know more about the Boys and Girls Clubs, then we need you to tell us that on the form. We need you to check it off and say, hey, I want to know more about what you do. And we'll get you out here and give you a tour. And I'm telling you, if you have a pulse, you will be sold. That is all it takes. So I want to thank you for your investment. I want to personally, again, thank the people in this room for what they've done to help shape my life and for the opportunities that you've given me. People in this room gave me my first job as an executive director when, honestly, I was probably way too young to have it. But it worked out great, and it gave me an incredible career and an opportunity to meet a lot of incredible people. I'm in this thing. Me and my family are back in Pitt County. We're going to do everything we can to keep these clubs strong and vibrant, and we ask you to help do the same thing. So thanks for having me tonight.
Thank you so much, Kirk, for sharing your story. It's always very inspiring to hear from you.